Yes.
From Buregeya, my grandfather shifted to Bushenyi.
Yes.
From Bushenyi, my father shifted to Mbarara.
Yeah.
So now I'm Nyankore.
Yes.
But I think I'm, by descent, I'm a Munyoro. So I'm a Ugandan.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
yes. From Bunyoro. Yes.
But I don't know my relatives in Bunyoro.
In Bunyoro.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's how I am.
Okay.
So I can't get a wife from Bunyoro.
Why?
They might be sisters.
Okay, because you don't know the relatives. Well, it's a very important part in Africa that we actually get to know some of these things very well. Apollo, I want to take you straight to our next question this morning, which is really about knowing, you from the leadership perspective. The program you're on right now, the CEO Bench, focuses on leadership, change management, and transformation. And we want to look at transformative leadership approach that often defines the leadership abilities of a person. And these are frequently used, terms to define the level of effectiveness of a leader. You are an engineer, civil engineer by training, and you have been in this space for a while. What is your understanding of leadership, Apollo?
I think I will avoid sounding academic.
Yes.
I bring it down to simple terms, to basic motor porters, the space I manage.
Yes.
When you look at leadership, I think it's the ability to bear knowledge, expose that knowledge to the people that are under your docket, to have a positive attitude that will influence them to apply the knowledge that you expose to them. So leadership starts with knowledge. You display that knowledge, communicate it, give a word. It's actually communication, it's word. That word transfers power and transfers the attitude that you carry to the people that choose to follow you, that choose to believe in the knowledge, in the content that you have. And then by doing that, I think that is the space where leadership can be demonstrated.
Well, you've actually defined leadership in the level that we often want it to be. I mean, the translation of that word that goes to people, that often influence people to follow you, influence people to say, I think I need to, work with Apollo. I think I need Apollo as a person, is key going forward. And I think for me, that's the real definition of leadership going forward. Now that we've defined leadership, Apollo, by your understanding, we want to know, are you a leader?
I'm still under construction.
Okay.
You've seen the signage we put on sites.
Yes. Under construction.
Under construction. Yes, I am a leader. I have a family that follows me. I have a workforce. I think at Eco Concrete we are about 65 people. 15 permanent staff, and then the rest are on contract basis. And those people follow me, and that makes me a leader. So, and I tell them to do things they're supposed to do, and they do them. So, I think I'm a leader. However, I tend to define myself as an entrepreneur, and as an entrepreneur, you are constantly in the space of change. You're constantly learning, you're constantly testing yourself, you're constantly testing the ideas that you have, you're constantly with people, you're constantly trying to sell yourself to people so they can get attracted to you and come and follow you. So that is, I'm an entrepreneur. Leader, it's natural. It will come.
Well, we can see from your background that your ancestry speaks a little bit more about leader when you talk about your grandfather and the migration and the things that happened in the days of the history of Uganda. We can see that there is a leadership, tendencies in your DNA. I want to go straight to self-leadership, Apollo. Quite a time, or quite often, we talked about leadership, but we don't know that leading self is the #1 leadership goal that everyone should look into. And self-leadership for me is very important. We want to just know from you, what is self-leadership? How have you been able to lead yourself from as an individual? First of all, what is your definition of self-leadership for somebody who is watching, who doesn't know what to do, doesn't even know whether they can lead self or not? Some people just wake up in the morning and follow whatever they are saying. go and do this, go and do that. What is self-leadership to you, Apollo?
Eddie, here I'm going to sound a bit philosophical.
Please, go ahead.
Because yes, it's a good term to say self-leadership and self-control, self-manage, manage yourself to be able to grow and be disciplined, self-discipline. But there are two systems that run this world. There's what we call a complex system. There's what we call a complicated system. I want to break the complex system. I want to define them, give them the characteristics, and then try to show you that as a human being, you're actually not in charge. And therefore, to be able to lead yourself, you need to simulate your environment to put you in a space where you are going to find yourself where you want to be. That if the environment is not engineered, is not simulated, then self-leadership can just stop at words. You will not achieve the result you want to achieve unless the externals are fixed. So there are two systems that run this world. There is a complex system, there's a complicated system. A complex system is like human body, society, marriage, love relationship, your friends, business, weather, climate, complex system. Complicated systems are like this TV camera, a mobile phone, a car, man-made things.
Engineering.
Now,
is engineering a complicated system?
It's both complicated and complex. Now, the difference with these two systems is that if I'm driving a car, and it's not a linear model that I can have inputs and guarantee results. Let me use this, demonstrate this with a simple example. You have a wife or a girlfriend. She checks your phone, and then she finds a WhatsApp message from somebody saying, "Hi dear," and then there is war at home. And then you remember that, this wife of mine had asked me for a Mac X. And then you go and buy a Mac X, 60 million, give it to her. You have not communicated, resolved the problem, the difference. She goes and drives and goes show it off to her former boyfriend. So you've invested a lot of money to convince her to forgive you. You've not dealt with the problem. And then things escalate. She used to come back home at 5 in the evening. Now she's like, I have a Mac X, I can come back home at 10 in the night. The family is disorganized after investing a lot of money. But what if you started by buying her a flower? You're like, honey, I'm sorry, 1,000 shillings. She looks at the flower, she doesn't accept, she throws it at you. You bring another one, a third one, the fourth one, she cries. She forgives you. 4,000 shillings. You have your wife back. 60 million, you lose your wife. So complex system. For you to get results, you invest small things consistently. Develop a habit. I'm coming back to self-leadership. Develop a habit. Give her a flower every day. She will love you even if you're poor. But for complicated system, if I want my car to perform well, I'm not going to take it to a washing bay. I'll go and buy a new engine. So the more money you put in, the more inputs in a complicated system, the better, the higher the result. So now, when we look at ourselves as human beings, we need to appreciate and acknowledge that we are not operating a complicated system. So you're not going to sit here and say, yes, I'm going to follow this procedure, and then I'll wake up at 5. By 5:15, I'm taking coffee. By 6, I've seen those stories.
They are called routines.
A routine is going to frustrate you. So what you do is you want to develop small things around you, habits that are actually going to inspire you, to prompt you to perform certain tasks, and then in the process, then friends who are going to come and tell, I'll come and tell you, Eddie, next year I'm going to build a cement factory. People believe that when you say what you want to do, it's quite creepy, actually, weird, that don't tell people what you want to do. I find it funny. I find it limiting to even people who believe in God. That yes, you don't want to be attacked. Who tells you that there are people there wanting to attack you? And in that case, why do you want to rig systems? So develop systems around you that are going to hold you responsible, accountable, that are going to prompt you to act a certain way, so that you are consistent with your beliefs. Yeah, so that is it. You cannot have a formula and then you have inputs and you expect that you are going to.
So on that note, Apollo, for those people out there who don't know even where to start from, I know you've given a very good nuggets of truth about how you develop habits and things that will translate into being, that will help you to become a person who can pick self and give self meaning and define self. Says, what I hear from you, Apollo, is you're saying those small habits you're saying you developed will translate to things that you begin to do, that you begin to believe in, that is going to take you forward. And then you're basically going to appoint self, give self meaning, and start to work with self. Now, 99% of people out there, when we do research on leadership and change management and development from a personal point of view, don't know how to walk that step. It's easier, better said, but the actions are very limiting. Apollo, just before we go for a break, we want to hear from you. We see you on the street. We see you drive. We see you in the construction sites. We see you talk. You're always writing. And somebody out there who reads your poster wondering, how is this guy able to do it?
Even in flying school, I'm going to become a pilot.
A pilot as well. Now, you see, all of this, Apollo, there's an element that the things they're talking about led you there. I want you to share this very briefly before we go for a break. The journey of Apollo moving from Apollo the child in Mbarara, somewhere with all the story you've talked about, to the journey of where you have reached, that point us to the level of this is how I found myself being led by myself to reach this level. That's somebody out there is looking for that information now.
I think you have to be ready to have scars.
Yes.
You have to be ready to enjoy failing.
Yes, yes.
You have to be ready and comfortable in failing.
Yes.
As you try to accumulate knowledge.
Yeah.
If you're not leading with knowledge, then you're not going to achieve much.
Yeah.
So it's knowledge development, trying out new things, failing, and being okay with failing, and then trusting people. And I found this challenging. It's a long curve.
Yeah.
As you employ, as you delegate, so that you can grow and expand. You have to be in a space where you have to trust people and delegate, so that you preserve yourself for the specific tasks that demand growth in knowledge. That's it.
Wow. Well, we're talking to Apollo, everyone out there, and I want you to get onto your mobile or your computer and share this information far and wide. We want you to actually write a comment, and kisses and disses are welcome. Apollo is definitely going to respond to you. And Apollo, Dr. Apollo Buregeya is the CEO of Concrete, Eco Concrete, and then Eco in itself means something else. And, Tofali Africa, we're going to hear more from Apollo when we come back from the break.
Le leadership, c'est quoi? Le leadership, ce n'est pas le fait d'intimider les gens ou bien de dominer les gens, non. Le leadership, c'est le fait d'aider les gens à suivre le bon chemin. Parce qu'il y a des gens qui sont là, ils ne savent même pas par quel chemin emprunter. Il y a des gens qui ont même étudié, mais ils ne savent pas quel business ils doivent faire. Maintenant, l'idée, quand tu rencontres une personne pareille, tu vas l'orienter. Non, tu peux faire mieux que ce que tu fais. Non, la peur que tu as là ne va pas te tuer. Tu peux aller au-delà de la peur. L'idée, c'est comme j'avais donné l'exemple, j'avais donné l'exemple ici en français, en anglais, pardon. La vidéo que j'avais vue à propos de chiens, il y avait un groupe de chiens au niveau du Canada et il n'y avait pas de l'eau. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il y avait la neige, il n'y avait pas la place pour que tout le monde puisse boire de l'eau. Mais il y avait seulement une petite place pour le boss que je vais appeler. Et il ne voulait pas que les autres puissent venir boire de l'eau, comme il était boss. Il intimidait les gens. Mais il y avait un petit garçon, un petit chien qui était là à côté. Il a eu l'idée de briser la glace là où il y avait pas, parce que l'eau était en dessous et il n'y avait pas moyen de boire. Mais le petit chien a brisé et tout le monde a vu son action.
Welcome back to the program. My name is Eddie Okila, and this is the CEO Bench. My guest this morning or this afternoon or this evening, depending on which part of the world you're actually watching the CEO Bench from, is Dr. Apollo Engineer. In fact, it's Dr. Engineer Apollo Buregeya from the Eco Concrete Limited and, of course, Tofali Africa Limited, the new band. Apollo, welcome back to the program. Before we went for a break, we were talking about self-leadership, and I want to take you mind to our next discussion on this program before we go into, dig deep about, ECO. But first, Apollo, before we even talk about change management, we want to hear from you. Perhaps just share a little bit more about what is ECO Concrete and what services do you provide. You were nominated by a number of people and said, this gentleman is loud on social media, he's loud everywhere. Please bring him in, let him share, a lot of ideas that he has, or, a few things about constructions, and this discussion is going to gear towards the construction industry from a civil engineering perspective. So let's start from there.
Eco Concrete is a complex of three products.
Yeah.
We manufacture construction materials. We also construct, and we are also into ICT. We are trying to create digital tools that should make it possible for low-cost housing. Okay. Yeah. So when you talk of eco, of course, it comes from the ecology. Yeah. You're trying to be sustainable, yeah, green. You're trying to extract less from the environment to achieve the housing needs of our communities. So that is what inspires us. Yeah. But also we look at the people. We are about people. Eco Concrete is an employee-owned, managed, and operated company. Yeah. Each of our employees is comfortable where they are, that they represent Eco Concrete, and it represents them, it secures them. They are growing, they are learning. I am also a lecturer at Makerere, and last semester I taught 2 of my employees. They are doing masters. So I'm an employer who will meet my students, educate them, assess them. Of course, I had to first declare to my department that yes, I have conflict of interest here. My employees are doing this course. I will teach them. Yeah. So we look at developing our human resource. We look at empowering them to make sure that we reduce on the cost of management, the risk of managing. Yeah. So we are about people. We are about our clients. We try to all our clients, actually, we don't believe in a client coming to us and they give us money and they go away. Yes. We actually look at construction as an opportunity to teach, to skill our clients, to enable them, to give them a platform where they can build a home, connect with their children, inspire their children to develop, to understand new skills. Yeah. So it's participatory, it's open source, and we intend to engage our clients to be part of the construction process. In fact, if you talk to our clients, they are part of our employee structure because they're the ones that buy their own materials. Yeah. Yes. So yeah. Then that is construction. Yes. Materials, yes. Of course, that's where we shine on the ecological aspects. Yeah. Of course, we're looking at greening materials, both on the aspect of making durable materials, yes, so that you have more time before you go back to the environment to stress it further, but also less materials, high strength. Yes. So we are excellent in that, and we are very knowledgeable about it. You're talking about my PhD. My PhD is in concrete and cement. Yeah, and it's what we applied. We apply this knowledge to help our clients. Yeah. The third aspect, which is the digital tools, here we are trying to make sure that of course, when you look at the cost of construction, almost, I'm quoting a World Bank's standard financed report.
Yes.
The actual costs of inputs in construction is actually at 43% of your budget of construction.
Okay.
Now, the balance, which is 57, accounts for the process of logistics, losses. We found that actually you are paying VAT, which is which accounts for about 14%.
Yes.
Now, if 14% or 43% is not 18%, so that means it's double taxation.
Yes.
So a lot of processes are going on that cause us to lose money, and we think that by applying the tools of the fourth industrial revolution, those are digital tools, ICT, I think we can streamline the processes of construction and understand where the problems are and refine them for our clients. And I think that's how we'll be able to achieve our objective of having low-cost housing. People keep talking about low-cost housing. We don't believe that low-cost housing should mean low-quality housing. We think the quality...
that is what we think is, when you say low-cost housing, it's supposed to be the cheapest material,
No, material costs, normally, it's matter. Materials should be maintained at a standard quality, meeting standards, and actually when you look at cheap material, poor quality material, the components that make poor quality materials are the same components that make very good quality materials. It's just knowledge. So we want to excel in that, deliver high quality at affordable cost. And we want to attack the people. Indeed, when they talk about low cost, they target material.
A very interesting show today that we're having right now. I want to take you straight, Apollo, to... You speak very passionate about construction. You speak very eminently about construction and knowledgeable in that space as well. Let's go back to your civil engineering and the journey into the civil engineering space. Your CV talks of 20 years plus into that space. You have a master's degree and a PhD to show for it, and of course there's a bachelor there. Now let's go back to Apple as a child. How did you end up as an engineer?
It's actually a long journey to become an engineer. I did not pass. I got some B's.
At what level?
I got some B's, but then I had decided to do civil engineering. So I ended up going to do a diploma first. I didn't want to do any other course. So I did a diploma. But
I want to take you straight back before you get to the diploma.
So
primary school, what were you? Were you playing toys, constructing?
I'm lucky. I was born privileged. My father had resources, and he managed to take my siblings and I to good boarding primary schools, where we passed. We went to Ntare School. The boarding primary school was Buregeya. Buregeya is a girls' school, secondary, but the primary school is a mixed school. Some of my siblings went to Nganwa High Primary School. Those are schools, good schools in the western part of the country. So we came to Ntare. We excelled in Ntare. Senior for meanwhile would go back to the village. I had never crossed the first junction of Mbarara town, now Mbarara city, so to come to Kampala. So senior 4, I decided I needed to come to Kampala because it was fun.
What year was this?
That is 1996. So I decided to come to Kampala. I remember the headmaster, because I was performing well in school. So the headmaster called me and told me, you're one of the people who want to maintain here, and if you don't put here your first choice, we don't want you to put your second choice. So I said, okay. So I put my first choice somewhere else. I had heard about Makerere College. I said, I'm going to come to Makerere College. I left Ntare, which was an environment that had helped me manage myself. to excel.
Yes.
I came to Makerere College, I found a different environment. They put me in a hall called Black House, which was in the center of Makerere University, and I would be locked inside, and I'm seeing university students having fun. So the environment changed, and I lost self-management. And therefore I did not perform well. But I knew what I wanted to become. So when time came for filling in the choices, I chose civil engineering for Makerere University, and then put zeros. You know, there were coding forms. So I put 0 zeros, and my teachers called me, and I told them, no, if I don't get Makerere University, I'll go to Chambogo. By then it was a polytechnic. I'll do a diploma in civil engineering, finish,
then come back.
Indeed, of course, at
was
all
somebody guiding your thinking around this idea?
No.
Because you're quite young to be able to think.
No,
you're very definitive in that area.
I wanted civil engineering. I'd interacted with my uncle, who was a quantity surveyor. He had convinced me that civil engineering is
the place to go.
Is a very good course. It's the oldest course. It was the first course God introduced on earth. So I liked civil engineering. So I went to Chambogo, spent my 2 years, did a diploma. It helped me because when I came to Makerere, then I was mature.
So hold it right there. So you went to Chambogo University to do your diploma. This was because your first choice, your first love of Makerere University as a bachelor course did not come through. In your senior six. All right, let's proceed from there. Because I wanted to make sure this is clear, because most times those who are watching this program think that if you put your first choice as civil engineering and it doesn't come, that's it. Some people get frustrated, don't know where to start from, and give up and say, you know what, I am done.
No, of course, if you want to make good things out of your life, you must be patient to respect processes. Some processes are long. You must be very patient.
Let's go back to
So I went to, by then it was Uganda Polytechnic Chambogo. 99, 2001, I got my diploma, started working. I worked for 8 months. I was lucky I got an employer who was a graduate of Makerere University. He respected education. He employed me, empowered me.
Civil engineering?
Civil engineering. He gave me projects. I did a lot of works in Western Uganda, Rakai, the water system, supply system of Rakai, the intake plant. I'm the one who did it as the foreman there. I was empowered. I did a lot of good projects. And I learned a lot because I was on ground. I was pushing wheelbarrows, seeing how they are breaking and wasting materials. So picking that skill, then I came to Makerere. I tried mature age entry. I was just becoming 25. Got admitted on government sponsorship. So when I reached Makerere at my age of 25, it was easy. I was mature. I was not excited. I started performing well. The lecturers also saw me as a mature person. They could communicate with me very well. I finished my bachelor's. I had experience. I enrolled immediately for master's. When I started master's, I was approached that I could start teaching. So I started lecturing at Makerere, got on board, finished, got some postgraduate diplomas in Egypt. I've traveled a lot, and then later I went to South Africa and did my PhD.
So all of this journey from Makerere University, when you finally came back for your bachelor's, you stopped whatever you're doing, the practical work. Did you stop at some point and went into teaching and skilling people and sharing that knowledge, or you continued?
I've never stopped construction. I kept doing construction, but I also love knowledge. So I kept reading, working hard, teaching, sharing knowledge, and I think the reason people recommended me for this show is because I share knowledge. So I kept sharing knowledge, I kept teaching, and of course, teaching, I liked it because it gave me an opportunity to grow more in knowledge. So construction, yes, it was scaled a bit, but I kept my hands in the field.
Okay. You talked about Apollo just before we go for the second break. You talked about the water system and making sure that the Rakai part of the western part of Uganda leading towards part of Tanzania, which, if I understand very well, the water system there, which means you are engineering at some point in water, and then you went into concrete, and then now I suppose we're going to see you in dams and power and whatever that is in that space. But my question to you, Apollo, why not road construction? Why not this other division of engineering? Why concrete and construction housing?
I think I chose concrete. I did a master's in water resources engineering. That's why many people know me
from the water part.
From the for the information I shared about the water systems of Lake Victoria, and that was the master's. But then after what I found out at master's, I chose to do a PhD in an area where I could start with little capital.
Okay.
So to develop a company to construct roads, you need a lot of capital.
Yeah.
So I decided to focus on accumulating knowledge in an aspect of engineering that requires low capital to enter. Yeah. So that is what determined what I did.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We're going to take a break, Apollo, and when we come back, we want to look into change management. And the change management will look at the change and the development of management within self, a business, or a similar organization, or at the nation level. How would you help us to understand how have you been able to manage this within yourself? Obviously, you have a body of knowledge that not very many people out there have or would share, and you happen to be the second engineer in or on this program called the CEObench. The first one we had was the engineer Andrew Chitaka, the former executive director of KCCA. You happen to be the second engineer. So we want to take a break, and when we come back, we want to be able to dive deep into change management and management of change and the decision-making process before we wind up the show with transformation in the construction business, where we'll be able to show a little bit of your work so that people can actually understand that the stuff you're talking about, you are actually practicing. Stay right there. I'll be right back after this break. This is the CEObench, Eddie Okila, and Dr. Engineer Apollo Buregeya from the Eco Concrete, and Tofali talking about transformational leadership in the construction industry. We'll be right back after this.
You see, it's like a ship. You've just talked about a ship. A ship without a compass in an ocean or in a lake will go anywhere. It has no sense of direction, no timing of where it's going and when it will get there or whatever. Leadership begins as a personal thing. The reason why we have a society that is getting messed up with so many things happening and we're seeing corruption happening is because leadership is failing from a personal level. You are corrupt as an individual and you pride in it because you're gaining more. You go home, your children are seeing that and thinking that is the way of life. Community and society is saying, this guy is a good guy, he's a rich guy, he's the man of society. And society is now beginning to agree to that being a norm. That's not where the problem starts. So let's just go back to your question. Leadership begins from your personal compass, your true north. Why are you on earth? What's your purpose? When you walk out of here, how do you impact on people? Or how do you want people to remember you? Nowadays people are dying, and all people can say is, we had a good time with that guy. But beyond that, what next? And then you find the same people coming to bury you. Then after that, they even actually have a drink up after that, and life goes on. You'll never be remembered. But just think about this, and let me just give you a simple example of Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was a 4-foot lady, very short lady. She was a teacher. People think teachers have no impact. She was a teacher. On her way to school to teach, she was so disturbed by the number of young children who were hungry on the streets, having no sense of direction. One day, she just woke up, went to the principal and said, you know what? Kalas, I'm done. I am going to feed the children of the world. The principal laughed. He said, you small woman, first of all, what money do you have? You think feeding the world is? But when you think of Mother Teresa today, what do you think of? The woman who tried to feed the world. Her mission still exists way beyond her. Going back to the same principle of people. People and purpose. And you see, purpose cannot be from outside or without. You know, you don't tell me that this is your purpose, Otoa. No, it comes from within. And you know, leaders are very crazy people. Yeah? You know, it's the same Museveni who read a newspaper and he got pissed off and went and, you know, on the streets and went and joined the bush. Yeah. They talk about people like Fidel Castro and all these people who... Leaders are people who just get angry with what is happening and make a commitment to make a difference.
There's a lot that is involved in the civil society organizations. There's leadership in itself, there's management of processes, there's management of the human resource, there's fundraising, there's, you know, research. It's a lot that needs to be done. And many times there is a feeling that that is too much for a woman, because she has other traditional roles that she needs to do as at home. So many times as people are looking for leaders in civil society organizations, the priority is usually given to men, because of our society that feels that men have the time, men have the capacity, men have the ability to lead, to take this organization to greater heights. And women, there will be a problem. They will have to go to maternity leave. They have issues. They are too emotional. They have not done the courses that are good enough for leaders. They don't have time to, you know, to go for extra, you know, learning, or to go for work outside Kampala, because they have to tend to their children. So there's too much that society has tied around a woman. And it's true, we have these traditional roles that we have to do, but does not in any way mean that women cannot lead in these spaces.
Welcome back to the program. My name is Eddie Okila, and this is theceobench, of course, with Dr. Engineer Apollo Buregeya from Eco Concrete and Tofali, Africa. Apollo, welcome back to the program. Before we went for a break, we were talking about the journey of Eco Concrete and your engineering journey as well. What a very, inspiring story right there and journey. A lot of us don't know that walking through the process and not cutting to the progress is very important. We often, most Ugandans, most Africans particularly, we like to bypass process for progress. Your journey of saying, you know what, I want civil engineering, and if I don't get, it doesn't matter, I'll go through diploma and then come back to bachelor and then go up there. We can see the resilience right there. I want to, draw your attention, Apollo, to change management. And this program talks about leadership, change management, and transformation. Today, we are actually talking about change management and transformational leadership in the construction industry. And that's where we're going with Apollo. Apollo, change and management of change within self, business, and organization, or the nation. What is your understanding of change management, and how have you been able to apply it in your journey to where you are? When people were laughing at you and saying, look at this one, he failed, and now you can't join us in this first year, and then you come back to Makerere when you're 25, and I'm sure you're employing some of these people. You even talked about some of your employers coming and you becoming a teacher to them. All of these are change management. How do you remain sane? First of all, what is your understanding of it, and how have you been able to manage change?
I think, Eddie, change, this is a standard statement. Yes. Change is a fact of life. Huh? And we change to survive. You must adapt, you must change if you want to survive. Huh? If you don't change, then nature...
They say change will change you.
Nature will eliminate you.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's natural that we change in our biology, in our thinking, and in enterprises that we do. I did not start with Ego Concrete. I said I have so many scars that I carry to be where I am now. So change, you only remain ahead in change management when you are able to grow in knowledge. If you're not learning, if you're not growing in knowledge, then you're not going to find yourself in a space of stability in change. We need to also understand that change actually, especially growth, can destroy. That you can find an opportunity, take it up, but before you grow internally as a person, in knowledge and intelligence, and also understanding, and also scale your environment to adapt the new change. I think it's going to be very expensive for you to grow and embrace this opportunity, because it can lead to collapse. So it starts with you understanding that yes, you have to grow in knowledge, and you have to take time. And change happens in the complex domain, that things have to adapt. So you have to take time to understand the change you are getting into, and you have to be comfortable in this space of change, that when it comes, you do not become rigid. So you move quickly, you understand your resources, and then you start looking at what new resources you need to bring on board, and what resources you need to eliminate. Constantly we make friends, and constantly we drop friends. And we need to be comfortable about it. The friends you had in primary school are no longer with you. You have new friends. You are my friend now. A year ago, you didn't know me. So that is how nature is. A tree grows, loses branches. The branches feed this tree. But if it wants to grow tall, then you have to lose some branches and get new branches and move on. That's how you're able to manage change and stay on top of your game.
Well, thank you so much, Datun Apollo, for that. Now, change requires that you communicate. Have you been employed before, Apollo? And if yes, how were you able to manage the change, and the communication of that change from, a moment you say, you know what, gentlemen and ladies of this great organization, I think I have reached this moment where I need to move from this point to the next level. And please allow me this opportunity to go. Or you just come and say, I've outgrown this organization, I am done, I am going. The salary, first of all, is very small. That's how most of us say or do. And then we had Mr. Toa Tony here saying, I always make sure I communicate change management very clearly and manage the process of change very clearly so that I can go back to the same organization and be a consultant. And he said, I left Total Uganda and I went back as a consultant with Total and see where I am right now. But many of us don't know how to communicate this change. So there's that change from you as Apple. Have you been employed before? How were you able to manage the change from one place to the next? 2, we want to know from you. How do you communicate to a complex employer who you are everything to them? The moment you announce you are going, they make life so hard for you that you can't go. And they say you are never going to be successful in that job even if you go. So most people's dreams have died because they can't move. And then 3, change at the organization. Sometimes as a business owner, people just decide to leave you and you don't know how to manage change. And some people have just crashed, the business crashes and things end there. Let's dive into it, Apollo.
I think, Eddie, it's relationship you're talking about.
Yes.
First of all, if you have a healthy relationship with yourself,
yes.
if you value yourself, if you have dignity, then you're going to be in a space of work that relates well with you, that respects your input, that respects your word, that values you as a person,
yes.
and also your skills and competences that you bring on the table. Yes. Now, that is a healthy relationship.
Yes.
If the relationship is not healthy, it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
I'm still employed. I'm an employee of Makerere University.
Yeah.
I still work there, and I still have bosses. And I told you when I had my employees in my class, I had to run to my head of department and declare a conflict of interest.
Yes.
And until they came to me and told me, you see, the law says once you declare the conflict of interest, make sure you are going to educate these employees and protect yourself.
Yes.
And actually, it was good. I was lucky I traveled to South Africa for a month. So I trained and examined when I was not around. So nobody accessed my laptop and saw my exam.
Yes, and said that, no, you cheated for your students.
So it starts with you valuing what you bring on the table. If you have value for your employer, then you're going to find it easy to communicate with them, to have your demands met, and find that you're comfortable. And then they will also be able to respect that as an individual you need to grow. I wouldn't work for somebody who is going to feel bad when I've left. No, I want them to wish me well. We train machine operators at Eco Concrete. And whenever moving around these new block yards, I find my trainees, former employees, running the yards, doing well. And for me, it's a celebration, because why do we do business? If you define why you're doing a business, then you'll find that you're not going to conflict with your workers. We do business to add value to society. If it was that we want to make money, I would get my 20 million. I've met somebody. I have a client who I built a house for. She started with 1.5 million. She's a money lender. So she gave me 300 million. All of a sudden, go and finish a house. Finished it in 6 months. Nice house. She entered it. She started with 1.5 million. She doesn't have any human resource. She lends money. Simple. So if it was about money that we do business, then it would be easy. We wouldn't need to employ these people. But you're doing business to build society, to put your society above, so that your children and the environment they grow in is a secure environment. It has a social aspect. It has an aspect that touches your country, so that you create jobs for people, so that people leave you when they are better than the way they came. So you don't want to hold on to a person. And if you are good, you're okay. Your employees are not going to run away from you. So I have employees who I've interacted with, I've related with, and trained, shared with. They are comfortable with my leadership, because when they run to me, they find solutions. As a leader, you must
be a solution finder and a solution giver for the people.
So they find solutions. They don't find me stuck. So, and I'm able to help them, empower them, grow. So it starts with how you relate with your bosses. If the company does not value you, then you're in the wrong place. So you're going to conflict. But if it values your input, then when time comes for you to go, they will tell you, we value you, we appreciate you, we think you've grown, we think you're going to contribute to where you're going. So I don't find it a problem. It's an issue of relationship and communication.
Wow. Apollo, that said, and I just want to read you a couple of comments that came a little bit earlier when we are talking. One gentleman said from the US, thank you very much, first of all, for coming to the program. he said that he was at Makerere with you, and he finds you a very switched on person of your time, or of our time. But he had a question, and he said, ask Apollo, a lot of buildings have been collapsing in Uganda. As a civil engineer, what is causing many of these buildings collapsing in Uganda, and people have lost their lives? It means that the engineering system in Uganda either doesn't work, according to him. Of course, now he lives in the US. That's a bit of a harsh language. Or for engineers, or people just don't know what to do, what is right. And so he said, my question to Apple is that he's a very refined speaker, he's talking a nice stuff, think we should hear. Why is he not in this organization or working for KCC where the buildings are collapsing? Yes.
But it's change management.
Yes.
I think we need to appreciate the level of commerce
yes.
We have in our society,
yeah.
and how commerce affects everything.
Yes.
When you go to Dubai, they are putting up mega structures,
yes.
very good infrastructure, 21st century
yes.
quality. And it's because they have a stronger commerce.
Yes.
They have more money. When you dig deeper, you'll find that the people that are building these tunnels under the oceans
yes.
are actually engineers from the Netherlands. They are porters from Bangladesh.
Yes.
It's foreign labor.
Yes.
And the Emirates, I don't think they have a university that produces excellent engineers. I haven't heard about one.
No.
However, as a lecturer at Makerere, we produce refined engineers,
yeah.
very good quality engineers. But you're putting them in a commerce structure that is struggling. And because it is struggling, there are things that are going to go wrong until we improve our commerce to be able to afford processes, to be able to afford regulation. For example, taking you back to the smallest, we make cement to a standard, which is a European standard. And then we use that cement to bond chifufu bricks, bricks that are produced in a swamp, not following any quality management plan, not produced to any standard. Yet we have a standard for bricks and blocks.
Yes.
So now, when you look at getting a good material which is standardized, and you combine it with a material that is not standard, then the output, which is a house, which is your desired goal, is not going to be a standard house. It's going to be very hard for you to control the quality of a house that you put on the market. So that is, it's a problem of commerce. The second problem is the problem of technology, and I've emphasized this a lot, that we are in Africa with our commerce, but we do not own our technology, we do not own our knowledge. We import both knowledge and technology here, and we make a mistake of importing this knowledge and technology that is designed for a commerce structure of Europe. Let me give a simple example, which I keep sharing. You have let's take Germany.
Yes.
A bag of cement in Germany, high-end, good quality cement. We achieve here, we buy at 48,000 shillings. It was going to go for €3. €3, that's about 12,000 shillings. So somebody buys a bag of cement in Germany to construct at €3. Here you're going to buy it at 11, 12 euros. When you hire a mason in Germany to consume that bag of cement to construct a wall, you're going to pay them 25 euros per hour. So they're going to spend 2 hours consuming one bag of cement of 3 euros, and they will charge you 50 euros. 2 hours. So for them, the motivation for making standards, for making technology is no longer material minimization. It is labor minimization. Actually labor elimination. So they go and say, let's have a machine that does work for a human being. Let's print houses. Let's eliminate labor in carrying concrete. Let's make concrete pumps. Let's make these machines. One person should do work of 50 people because they are fighting the 50 euros against the 3 euros. Now, to adopt this technology you need to lift the cost of 3 euros up higher.
Yeah.
They don't mind making cement 6 euros. How do you make 6 euros? You're adding in some chemicals to make that cement usable in the technology they have made. So you find if you're making concrete, to pump it, you need agents that stabilize concrete so that the water and the sand and the stones do not mix. So you need some starch, some agent that's going to hold the concrete together. You need chemicals that are going to reduce the water. You don't want too much water, otherwise as you pump, water is going to go alone and then stones stay alone. So you need what we call water reducing admixtures. You need super plasticizers. You need so many things. Now this technology costs $1 million to have. So when you go and buy this technology from Europe and bring it here, where now cement is 11 euros, labor is €0.5, you're not making sense. So you come here, labor is cheap, so you put $1 million here. If you're going to add in the chemicals to make your cement usable in the technology you've brought from Germany, it's no longer going to be 11, it's going to be 22 euros. Now, you already have $1 million you've invested in plant, the cost of money is also added. So what we see is that some of these ready-mix plant concrete providers are trying to take shortcuts because there's pressure to recover money. Yet I can make concrete on site with the mix of 10,000 of 100,000 shillings. So the same product can be made with 100,000 shillings technology. Yet you have $1 million technology, and it has a demand that you have to recover. The money.
Because the investment here, the capital investment here is very intense.
Yes, and the motivation for this investment makes sense because somebody was fighting the 50 euros. So when we do not possess our technologies, and then also the standards are the same. For example, when you look at in construction, guy will come and tell you we need steel bars in kilograms. If you look at the invoice from roofings, it's set in kilograms. So a guy will tell you we need concrete in cubic meters. But when you reach on site, you're buying bags of cement, you're buying trips of sand. So why should I give you concrete in cubic meters? Why don't I break it into bags of cement? The reason is that process adds in labor. So they want a process, in Europe, they prefer a process that eliminates labor. Go to a batching plant, buy concrete. Don't buy cement bags, But that's not how our commerce structure is. And therefore, we need processes, we need standards, we need systems that are going to empower us to make savings. And that's where our digital platforms come in to make sure that, because we understand the commerce, that's where they come in to make sure that we actually save people money.
Wow. Well, we are on the CEO bench with Apollo engineer, Dr. Engineer Apollo Buregeya from the Eco Concrete right there, talking some really serious stuff. Apollo, our time is fast spent, but we're going to end up with transformation. I already have a very interesting comment here saying, Eddie Okila, I already voted that gentleman to come back to the program. That process he has talked about is what we need to talk about. Can we have engineers come and talk about constructions? I have had a situation where I've lost a relative in construction, and it wasn't okay because people were not giving us the right information. Why is it that people like this gentleman on the show are not there? We can't see them when we're looking for them. So maybe Apollo, you guys in the engineering world need to be able to do something that allows the common man watching the program to actually understand. I've got a very interesting message here coming from Edwin. Another friend of mine, Edwin, is a very serious guy, lived and worked in Germany. Says, thank you very much. What he has said is on point. That is how things here run. In fact, construction here is done by self. We do a lot of DIY.
Do it yourself.
Yes, do it yourself, I think is the meaning, but DIY, do it yourself. And he's talking about it and says, but in Africa, everything is dependent on the person. And sometimes the cost of hiring the person is less. Here, the cost of hiring a person is 10 times. So it's better for you to get some of these skills. Can we have what they are talking about continue? Now, my question to my friend right there, up on the show, engineer, thank you very much for coming. Is Makerere University actually working hard to make sure this is sorted?
Perfect.
I think he's looking forward to the answer of, do we have some of these things coming in place that you're talking about? And if I understand his question very well, he's saying, why is it that Makerere University is not translating this to the reality of what you're talking about? And then the next question that has come in is from another gentleman. He says, thank you very much for bringing Apollo onto the program. I think for me, as an engineer, this is my best program so far. I enjoyed the interview with Engineer Chitaka. It was a great interview. Good to have Apollo there. My question, though, goes to Apollo. As an engineer, we don't like to support each other. I don't know whether Apollo is open to somebody coming for mentorship at his place. Now that he's a lecturer at Makerere, perhaps he would be the best place to start from. All right, Apollo. As you can see, already people, talking about this. But I want to take you straight to a systematic identification and implementation of necessary changes that you're talking about within self, business, and a similar organization. And we'll close this with what is your understanding of transformation. We're talking about transformation in the construction industry. Okay, and you obviously have a transformative leadership approach in the construction industry. Apollo, question is, how do we implement the things you're talking about? And we want to show some of the work that you're talking about so people can actually see it and relate to it. And you will end up by taking us through a process of, when you talk about concrete, putting the foundation. I have a question here where somebody says the foundation of the buildings in Uganda are always not done very well. And that's a problem itself. How do we get that sorted out? But first, dive into it. Controlled identification, systematic identification and implementation of the things you're talking about.
I think you have to start. You have to start, accumulate knowledge, understand that we are actually at a stage in life, as Africans, as sub-Saharan Africans, a stage in life where we are going to shine. All these challenges we have are also opportunities for us to embrace, and that's what we are doing at EcoConcrete. Make things understandable, communicate the change that you want, communicate the transformation that you want. Let it be with your employees, let it be with your clients, promise them something, because nature is that our minds ask for what they know. So educate the transformation that you need to see. Transfer it into other people's minds so that they see it. Once they see it, then it's going to be easy for you to ask for resources to implement it. I think it's start and then be innovative. Understand your environment, understand your resources, communicate well, and then also get exposure. Be exposed. The moment you go out, you are able to understand what other people are doing within the environments, how they are adapting the environments, and then you are able to relate with the environment and understand how you're going to adapt with the environment. So that is what we are doing at EcoConcrete. We are trying to reach our clients, and some of our clients, we refuse to do some things because we know better. And some of them come back to us and they're like, okay, we prefer that you give us what you said you'd give us because of this. Others go and when you take shortcuts and then they call us later and it's very painful. Recently I visited a school. They used this common construction technology of method of using pipes, hollow pipes, and then you weld them together and form beams and wood, and then you cast on top and move. And they did 2 floors. They wanted to add on the 3rd floor. And because the people who are implementing this method do not follow a certain design criteria, so once the building became tall, it was a narrow building, a classroom, 2 levels, I think it had some lateral movements. And once it had these lateral movements, remember these are sections, pipes welded onto each other. So, and then you're feeding them with blocks.
Disaster in the waiting.
So cracks happened. So I went there, they called me, they're like, the engineer disappeared, he's no longer in the country. We don't know where he is. And then we want to know whether we can add on to this structure.
But it's already wobbling.
Yes. So my advice to them was people could understand. So told them the moment you add on another floor, the dancing will increase. Yes. And therefore these cracks are going to open wider. Yeah. So doing things without those are challenges. Doing things without proper thinking and designing. So we need to engage. We need to be able to share these transformations we want to deliver and get people to understand us.
Wow.
Once people understand, they will follow you. The movement.
There was a question about mentorship. Are you open for mentoring somebody?
We are growing very fast. We want to relate with people, especially technical people. So if there are people who believe they have some skills they want to apply and they want to be guided on developing those skills, yes, we are open to them. The first skill, I don't know whether it's a skill, it's attitude. When somebody has very positive attitude, we welcome them, and then we'll create opportunities for them to grow, and we'll teach them. I am open source. I share knowledge. I believe that that's how I can only immortalize myself, by making sure that what I know, everybody else knows it. Yes, so we are open for mentorship.
Well, thank you very much, Apollo. It's the CEObench and Dr. Engineer Apollo Buregeya from Eco Concrete right there talking to us on the CEObench this particular edition. Apollo, before we go, close the show, we want to go through some of your work. It will be a disservice if we bring you on the show and we don't see the processes you go through. And we want you to take us through these processes so that people understand. You're a concrete expert. That's something that we have finally been able to identify in this program, not just by the fact that your CV talks of it or your profile talks about it, but by practice. We want to put some pictures up and you take us through. What is a typical process of building a house that will stand and last eternity? Buildings have collapsed in Kampala. The biggest questions here have been about building collapse in Kampala. Start, for example, that picture right there. What's going on? I don't know whether that is the first picture, but we'll start from there and then go through all of them until we see a building that is actually complete. Take us through.
I think here we are finishing a foundation.
Okay.
Yes, and trying to deal with soil around it.
Yes.
You notice the ground floor slab is already cast.
Yes.
The foundation is below, and then we have some columns up, and we are going to the next slab.
So what is this gentleman doing?
This gentleman is trying to backfill and compact. I think at that point he was trying to open the bars to create an extra column that starts at that point, support to reduce on the span. At some point we realized that we could reduce on the number of bars in the beam up by creating a short column and making the costs lower for the client.
And the next one, if you look at the picture which is coming, the next picture,
it shows that yes, we work hard. We work. There's no shortcuts. We are people who are courageous, with light in our competencies, with light in our knowledge. We want to. We don't take shortcuts. Yes. So that's Bwaji. That is one of my good foremen. He's now in Gulu building a hotel, which is going to be a good hotel.
So we see this building now beginning to go up there. A lot of buildings that has collapsed whenever they go to this past stage. What is your say?
Of course, from the perspective of concrete, you want to manage quality. If there is a quality management plan on a site, it starts with design. You know that the designs are good, and then you look at the quality of the materials that are being made. You make sure that the quality of materials is right, and then, of course, in a construction business, like any other business, you're relying on people. You rely on the processes, then you have materials. So the people also have to be the right people who are going to deliver good quality works. Yeah, so we look at the people, we look at the design, we look at the material and how we manage the quality of these materials to make sure that nothing escapes us. Yes.
Apollo, a lot of some of these questions we're talking about, thank you very much for taking us through that. But there are some pictures we want to go through the process and see when the building actually moved from down to the first floor to the ground floor. If you would just take us through this, what level of this is for somebody who is constructing?
This is a basement. After we put a ground floor slab, which was at a level of the upper side, and then after the ground floor slab, first floor, second floor, and third floor.
So now this is the level which is very complex. Normally it collapsed here.
This is the basement slab. Ours do not collapse because we know what we are doing. Yeah. So that is me there, trying to meditate on the plan to make sure that no mistake is done. Yeah. So that was the basement, the ground floor slab that we are casting, and then this building is continuing up to 11 floors. Yeah. So that's why the columns are big. Yeah. So this is a project in Chisenyi. It's under construction.
This is going to 11 floors.
No. This is 7 floors.
Okay, and then we look at the next building there. So this is a commercial building by your standards. So this is basically, how do we get to this point?
This is a residential house. The owner is in New York. He trusted us. We delivered. He came and got married, and we had a party there, and he left the country now. He's back in New York. Yeah, so, but a Ugandan. Yeah.
And finally, Apollo, what would be your final parting shot today to all of us watching the program all across, from one, as a teacher, 2, as a CEO, 3, as a person who like to share knowledge with people? What is that one thing that you want to leave us with on this program that we will remember you for, and we can start practicing based on the leadership, change management, and transformation we've talked about, but also from the, your experience as a CEO, employing over 60 people, and as well as teaching millions of people at the university?
I think, Eddie, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I want to say that there's a saying that a single raindrop never thinks that it is responsible for the flood that we see in the valley. I want to encourage people that we all matter. We all have a responsibility to improve the quality of life we have as Ugandans, especially, but also as Africans. And that greed, corruption, praising illegitimacy will end up actually punishing ourselves. We end up killing ourselves. We end up squandering the opportunities of the people that will come in future. We need to know that just like a single drop of rain contributes to the flood, we need to have a mindset that is going to be focused on contributing to a flood of positive transformation of our society. Start by appreciating that you need to change your values, be honest, work hard, don't cheat, don't take shortcuts, because when you do, if now somebody entered here and gave you $1 million, it confuses you and it gets you disorganized. But if you've earned it, then your internal environment prepares for it, and then you find you in a comfortable space. So as Ugandans and Africans, we need to choose to work hard, avoid shortcuts, take an organic path. It gets us there.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, Apollo, for, first of all, accepting to come on the CEO bench today, and thank you for sharing your experience and your journey with us and giving us opportunity to be able to listen to you. I want to say thank you very much to everyone out there for coming onto the program today and giving Apollo the opportunity to speak and giving us the opportunity to share with Apollo. And it has come to that moment where we have to you know, spread the love. So there's something we do here where we state and spread the love to people. We have to do it one more time. It's brought about by Pastor Joshua Martin Mugabe. Says, spread the love whenever you come into the program. The CEO bench has come to an end. Thank you very much, Apollo. And looking forward to sharing a lot more with you. Share it far and wide. We'll be right back with the next episode. And of course, Apollo is going to be coming back onto the program. He already has some nominations. So share it far and wide. Eddie Okila, Dr. Engineer Apollo Buregeya signing out from the CEO bench. Until then, keep it locked to the CEO bench.
My name is Dr. Jinpo Olowo. Thank you for watching House of Talent Television. I love to inspire people. I love to talk about my experiences and how God has been able to use me in the different exposures. And through the leadership, through change management and transformation, I've been able to do a couple of things in my life. Now, are you a kind of person who is tired of your status quo? Do you want your situation to change? Are you tired of what is going on in your life? You know, change is a fact of life. We've all been through experiences in the last couple of months that have taken us to a place where we need to do something about our lives. We need to change whatever is going on. So if you have not piled up investment for yourself, you need to do that. If you've not done businesses to hold your family in future, you need to do that. Are you thinking of full-time employment? You need to be thinking about your life after employment or your business in the next couple of years. So if you want us to chat, if you want us to talk about this, please get in touch with us at theceobench on number 0772443085 or check our website www.theceobench.com or on all the social media handles. You can hook me up or Facebook, that is Jinpo Olowo, on Instagram, Jinpo Olowo, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. Then we can chat a way forward with you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can walk with you this journey of financial freedom. Thank you.